Brian Cannon designed every Creation Oasis sleeve in the 90s, including Definitely Maybe, Morning Glory, and not only that, but he was with the band constantly throughout the 90s, on the road, in the studio, and he's still in touch with various band members today. It's hard to find anyone else in the world with the same level of insider knowledge as Brian, because he was actually physically there for all of it. Brian recorded the hand claps for the song All Around the World. At the very end of the Be Here Now album, you can hear footsteps walking away and then a door slamming. Those footsteps are Brian. If you listen to the version of Fade Away that Oasis recorded for the album Help, right at the end you can hear two people talking. One of them's Kate Moss and one of them is Brian. So that gives you some kind of idea where he was in relation to Oasis in the 90s. Right there in the bullseye. Brian very kindly agreed to come onto my channel and have a chat with me about the story and the history behind each of the Oasis single covers in the 90s. The stories behind the album covers are fairly well known, so we decided to focus in on the singles, and just to shake things up a bit, we started at the end and worked forwards to the beginning. So we start with All Around the World and we bring it right the way through all the single covers to Supersonic. If you haven't already, go subscribe to Brian's YouTube channel. The link is in the description. In this video, me and him, we only skimmed the surface really. The proper deep dives are coming and they're going to be on his channel, so keep an eye out for them. And lastly, a massive thank you to James from the Oasis podcast for his help in making this interview happen. So, Brian Cannon, hello. It's an absolute honour to meet you. I'm really excited to be talking to you. You have designed my favourite CD covers of all time.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
So, can we start with All Around the World?
Yes.
Where was that taken?
Bournemouth Beach. So we were given a release date for All Around the World. I know it was going to be a beach scene, and I found that Wigan Athletic, who are my football club, were playing in Bournemouth that day. So that's why it's shot in Bournemouth, so I could watch Wigan play. That's a true story.
And who are the people in it?
As always, just friends or family of mine. The four people, it's the same two people twice, by the way.
Oh, is it? Oh.
Yeah, it's not four people, it's two people. Photoshopped twice. John Platt, he worked at Micronaut, he was like a new business manager, and the girl is a girlfriend of a friend of mine. It's based on a photograph I saw that George Harrison took out of a hotel window in Miami Beach, Florida in the 60s, when there was a load of Beatle fans on the beach, right? And they'd written messages to the Beatles in the sand. Oh. And they were looking up, and George, if you Google it, you'll find it. George Harrison hotel window shot, Miami Beach, Florida. There are no cliffs at Bournemouth Beach, and there are no high buildings, and you didn't have drones back then either. That is shot from the top of the Dorset Fire Brigade's extendable ladder. We gave them basically a donation to their charity, and they turned up for the day. And that's off the firemen, because I mean, it was quite, well, it wasn't that windy, but it was swaying about, and I'm scared of heights at the best of times, and it was quite hairy up there.
Right, well, let's bring it back one. Let's go to Stand By Me. Now, a lot of people think that that was your parents, but was it your partner's parents?
It was my partner's grandparents. Here's an interesting link up again as well. That photograph was taken by my partner's father, and it's his parents, if you see what I mean, a guy called Barry Johnson. Now, Barry Johnson, if you look at the Nebworth programme, it's that England flag with the Beatles-esque tickets on the front. Barry Johnson also took the picture of that England flag to go on the cover of the Nebworth programme. People all say, well, what does it mean? It's obvious, isn't it? Stand by me. It's an old couple who are obviously very much in love. They have stood together. They have stood by each other.
Let's go on to Do You Know What I Mean? Where was that shot?
Shot in Wigan, my hometown. And the reason why we shot it in Wigan was because wherever they went, anarchy would break out because they were just like gods, you know what I mean? And I thought it'd be amazing to set a scene up. There was a crowd of people who weren't looking at them for once, and were looking at this other person, which is the guy in the back, the preacher. But so the concept of it meant that there would be like 50 odd extras involved. And I thought it's obviously going to be easier to take the band to where the 50 odd extras are, rather than taking 50 odd people to where the band are. Like I said earlier, I always use family and friends as extras. They all happen to be in Wigan, so that's why we shot it in Wigan. The same guy appears 4 times in it to fill a gap to the left-hand side behind Bonehead. If you look closely, you can see the same guy.
Who's the preacher?
My mate, Mick Maguire from Wigan, who's an absolute legend. He's quite a character, is Mick. And he's just an old mate of mine from Wigan.
I know in Tony McCarroll's book, he said that there was always a lot of the Oasis entourage that trying to get into the artworks. I don't know if any of them made it into that one.
No, it's an entirely Wigan thing, that. My mum and dad are on it, my sister, my niece, all my mates, family and friends. I think I can say without fear of contradiction, there's not, other than the band, there is not one Mancunian on that shot.
Yeah, fair play. Right, so now we come to Don't Look Back in Anger, which, as legend has it, was one of the most lavish, expensive photo shoots for a music cover of all time at the time.
Yeah. Well, what happened there was, again, it's another Beatles reference. Ringo Starr famously left the Beatles for a period at the back end of the 60s, and when he came back to the fold, George Harrison smothered his drum kit in flowers. We rented the studio, I think it was in Wembley for that. We got the band's road crew to bring all the equipment, because it is all their equipment. We haven't just got some random gear. That's all their equipment. And they brought it to the studio and we set it all up. I think Meg Matthews got involved with the ordering of the flowers because I don't know where to get 10,000 carnations from. So, and I had enough to be getting on with anyway. So, you know, I gave that job to Meg. And sure enough, she came up trumps. But if you look closely, all the flowers are red, white and blue, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, you can't get blue carnations. So what we did was, of the 10,000, 3,000 of them were 6,000 were white, half of which I had a work experience student dipping blue ink on the day. Right. Which again is another kind of Beatles reference, because Brian Epstein was Jewish. He had some sort of party and they had white flowers, and Brian Epstein's mother freaked out. It was bad luck, apparently. They had somebody dye all these white flowers red by dipping them in red. So that's another kind of Beatles reference.
I get the impression with loads of these singles that they're full of little Easter eggs. They're full of loads of little things that no one's noticed yet. A good example being that Oasis dollar sign, or is it a Beatles dollar sign that's pinned to an amp in Don't Look Back in Anger?
It's a $1 bill banknote, but instead of the president's head on it, it's Noel Gallagher's head on it. I mean, I've got some outtakes of that I sell via my website and my shop, and you can see it quite clearly, but you can make it out if you look closely. You can't see it's Noel's head on a banknote, but you can actually see there's something there. When I was a kid, I used to like record sleeves that I'd noticed stuff on 10 years after having them, you know what I mean?
So next we come to Wonderwall, the girl in the frame. Now, I remember reading or watching somewhere that you said that was Liam, and Noel came by and went, whoa, 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 that's got to be a girl.
It was initially, because there was no emails back then, I faxed, can you believe that? The concept and the idea that we were doing for Wonderwall. And because I didn't get a reply back, I presumed everything was okay. What had actually happened was the fax machine had run out of paper, right? So the fax never went. I mean, this is how analog the 90s was. You know what I mean? They didn't get the fax because there was no paper in the machine. So we're doing this shoot, and lo and behold, like Darth Vader, he just pops up out of nowhere. I mean, the odds of this happening are just negligible, aren't they? The whole of the city of London, he's driving past in a taxi and jumps out, what's going on here? And then we had to do plan B, which was I roped in Anita Herriot, who worked at Creation. Creation Records was just round the corner from the location where we shot it, which was Primrose Hill. So that was that very quick shoot. You know, there's not much to it really. That what you see is what you get.
Right, so now we come on to Roll With It, the cover of one half of the Battle of Britpop.
Yes, Roll With It, shot on Weston-super-Mare Beach, chosen because it was the closest beach to Glastonbury. where they were headlining the following night. Roll with it. That's a process it's that orange. That's not done in Photoshop. That was a chemical process that the film went through, but that's another thing. I mean, it was all based on a dream. I can't remember if it was Noel's dream or my dream about a lot of tellies floating down a river. That's basically the dream. Bearing in mind, creation was owned by Sony, right? I asked Sony, would they lend us 5 tellies, right? And they said no. Right? But bearing in mind, the back of every Sony television says Sony on it. So it would have been amazing publicity. They said no, you couldn't have them. I couldn't believe it. So in the end, if you look closely, they're all Panasonics then. And I purposely chose non-Sonys as a result of that. So
you've got the thing on the front and you've got the thing on the inside, and you can see they're all watching something different on the tellies. There's one of them watching Bonehead Peter Sellers, I think.
I always designed for the vinyl anyway, the 12-inch vinyl. Everything else was secondary to that. That was the master format as far as I was concerned. You know, it's the biggest and the best, obviously. So you said the inside, I would have said the back, because I'm referring to, you're talking about the CD obviously, but what you get on that sleeve is it's the reverse view. It's the view from the band's point of view. It's obviously superimposed because those tellies aren't plugged in, they're on a beach. You know, the leaves just run into the sand. But what I asked was each band member to pick what they'd like to be watching, and it goes like this. Quidsy is watching Ian Botham, the cricketer, for those who don't know, when he famously won the Ashes almost single-handedly against the Australians in 1981. Bonehead is watching Peter Sellers playing the sitar in the film The Party. Liam is watching Alex Higgins having just won the World Championship in snooker. Alan White has got Keith Moon, and he specified as well he wanted him in the good-looking mod phase as opposed to the fat pisshead in the later years. And he used those exact words as well. And Noel is watching himself. This is still from the Cigarettes and Alcohol video. We took Polaroids of those stills freeze-framed on a telly in my house and photoshopped that image onto the back sleeve. So that's how we did that.
Brilliant. That's one of my favourites, that sleeve. I think that's fantastic. But I think we come on now to what I believe is your favourite, which is Some Might Say.
Some might say, yes. All the lyrics to the song. I'm going to be evasive on this one because my next YouTube channel video is going to be about this very subject.
So brilliant.
If you want to know the details on that one, kids, you're going to have to watch my video.
First video is already out on Brian's channel, and it's absolutely brilliant on the development of the Oasis logo. So next we have Whatever, and it's this amazing wide open shot that it looks a bit like Near Where I Live, the North Yorkshire Moors, but I don't think it is the Yorkshire Moors.
No, it's not. It's the Peak District near Sheffield. And the story behind that is the original concept was it was going to be the band in Monument Valley in Utah. And the original idea was to shoot the sleeve whilst they were in the States on the 1994 tour, but they famously fell out after a gig in Los Angeles at the Whiskey A Go Go. And Noel disappeared. He shot off to San Francisco, and they got it back together again. And they met up back in Texas, where they recorded "It's Good to Be Free," didn't they? As well as "Talk Tonight." We left by that point because there's no point us hanging around. So we've basically done thousands of miles round trip to get this sleeve shot, and they fell out. So we came back empty-handed. So we took to the moorland overlooking Sheffield. I think it's near a place called Penistone. And the idea was we were going to, almost like an early Verve sleeve, recreate a living room and have the band in this living room and shoot it. But I got back from the session, there was a test shot that was on the sleeve. And I saw it and thought, wow, there it is. If there was ever a picture that said whatever, that's it. So we've done a 10,000 mile round trip, abandoned that, and then did a test shot in Sheffield, near Sheffield, and that's what the sleeve is. It's a test shot, not even the real thing.
With the inside shot on Whatever, is that a different shot, or is that a different exposure of the same shot?
It's not the same shot. It's a different shot from the same test session. If you look, the clouds are different. It's a different shot because we never replicated the same shot.
So now we come to the last four, Cigarettes and Alcohol.
Straightforward rock and roll shot in the Halcyon Hotel, which is no longer there anymore, which is like a boutique hotel favoured by cool rock stars. And I managed to convince Alan McGee that we had to hire the room for 2 nights so we could have a practice party the night before, which he went for, which was amazing. The band were actually in Sweden playing with the Verve at some festival. Noel and Bonehead turned up, and Liam wasn't with them. Where's Liam? He's in the hospital. What? That's why he's on the floor, sat down in the shot, because he jumped off the top of the tour bus and busted his ankle. So he couldn't stand up or move around, so that's why he's stationary on the floor just having a smoke. God, you could smoke in hotel rooms back then. There's Bonehead, Liam and Noel, obviously. Then there's Tim Abbott, who was the marketing guy at Creation. And the two girls are Jane Fisher, who sat on the bed with Bonehead, who was Creation's accountant. Emma Bond is the blonde-haired girl playing guitar, who doesn't work for Creation. She worked for the merchandise company.
Now, Live Forever, famously, one of your few ones that doesn't have a back.
That was the only, no, not the only one, because Stand By Me was an image we already had. And so was that. That wasn't shot specifically for that sleeve. That was one that was already in the archive that was used. So, and it's, again, it's self-explanatory. Live Forever, it's a picture of John Lennon's childhood home, isn't it?
So now we come to Shaker Maker with all the stuff melting on the table.
There was an advert at the time on the telly for Trebo Soft Mints. The Cockney Rebel song, Mr. Soft, they used in a Trebo Soft Mints advert. And everything in the advert was like soft and wobbly. Like there was a post box that was all soft and wobbly. And it was kind of, I got the idea from that. The idea is, it's the back sleeve, front sleeve narrative thing going on. On the back sleeve, the room's fine. And if you look at the cassette machine, nothing's playing. Then you look on the front sleeve, there's a cassette which says Oasis on it, is being pressed play. And it's my hand pressing play, and the music that comes out of the speakers has just melted everything and distorted everything in the room. That's the idea. Because we literally took an industrial blowtorch and took everything outside, and having photographed it solid, melted it all and put it back in the shot to be photographed. And Bonehead and Liam turned up halfway through that to see me with a pair of goggles on and an industrial butane bottle or whatever it was, and this blowtorch melted stuff. They're like, Cameron, you have got the best job in the world. And,
how much of that was just you wanting to be a pyro?
Well, all of it really, but there's a few things we set fire to. Well,
last of all, Supersonic.
Yeah, that was in Mono Valley. The first single, band shot, because the band aren't on many of them.
So is there any one little secret in that Supersonic sleeve that you can tell us today that no one's ever heard before?
We left, if you look by Liam's feet, there is a Polaroid of the shot. Or is it the back sleeve that the Polaroid is on the floor? We obviously Polaroided it. Liam's like, yeah, let's have a look at that. Because they're all dead interesting. It's not like when they did the videos that they found boring because that's dead repetitive. They actually enjoyed doing the sleeve, so they were involved in the process. So Liam looked at that and would have put it on the floor next to him. So there's kind of a bit of an infinity effect going on there. But other than that, I think that black and white Rickenbacker was Johnny Marr's, wasn't it? But people winks at because they think Noel's going to leap off the piano and stand on it, But he knew it was there. The reason the lights were left in was because I just thought this is the most honest band since the Sex Pistols. There's just a level of honesty there, this is not an actual thing. We came up and took this picture for the sleeve, and rather than trying to hide it or make it look real, it's just like we accentuated the fact that it was staged. That's why they're it. I started a rumour off and I've heard quoted. It's funny how you start to hear the rumours and people quote back. I said somebody in some interview that leather jacket that Liam's wearing was given to him by Iggy Pop, right? Which it wasn't. But I have subsequently read elsewhere that, oh yeah, that jacket, yeah, Iggy Pop gave him that. And he never did, I just made that up. Being silly.
So you're one of these buggers responsible for making my job much, much harder, figuring out what really happened. You and Noel.
No. Other than that, the only other urban myth which everybody's took on board is that it should have been Liam and Noel on the front cover of Born in Glory, but they were too pissed the night before to get up to do it. That's nonsense. I made that up. They were actually in Dublin playing Slane Castle the night before, so they were never going to be on the sleeve.
EDB3 asks, your artwork looks like a snapshot in time. It's densely packed with detail to convey a message or a feeling, and it reminds me of a Renaissance style. It's almost like a painting of a great battle densely packed with details that you don't see at first glance. What made you choose this style?
Funnily enough, Renaissance paintings. So he's hit the nail on the head there. That's exactly where I got it from. What a great question. Nobody's ever asked that before. The one I often quote as being an inspiration for Definitely Maybe is a Renaissance painting by a guy called Jan van Eyck, who did the Arnolfini wedding, which he doesn't look anything like Definitely Maybe. But what it is it's littered with all visual metaphors. That's where I kind of got the idea from, so well spotted.
Jordan Cook asks, what was your creative process for designing the import and the promo sleeves? Were they discarded shoots or specially commissioned pieces? Thinking specifically of the US rock and roll star, the Brits Slide Away promo, the Morning Glory, Champagne Supernova and alternative all around the world promo sleeves.
Well, I didn't do most of them, and you can tell because I don't think they're very good. I mean, they look shite, I think. They're just like a picture of the band, or they're typographically disasters, most of them. Your Beatles purists, wherever they are from in the world, you look at the canon of work that was released in Great Britain, and that is regarded as the definitive body, isn't it? And it's the same with Oasis. It's exactly the same. The microdot design sleeves, the creation releases, that's the definitive account.
Will Bainbridge asks, on the Some Might Say cover, how long did it take to get that shot, and are Noel and Liam really on it?
Of course they are. We didn't do stuff like that. We turned up the night before and checked into a hotel in Matlock, Bath. Me, my mum and dad, Carla, who's the girl beneath the platform, Matthew Sankey, who is my assistant at Microdot, and Liam and Noel. And we all stayed in this little B&B. Me, Matthew and Liam stayed up till goodness knows what time drinking. How long did it take? Quicker than you think, despite the fact that looks like a disused railway station. Just that half of it is disused. The other half is still in use. So my dad's walking up and down the platform with a wheelbarrow full of fish, right? As this is going on the other side of the platform, which you can't see in the shot, trains were running from Derby to Matlock. So every 20 minutes, a carriage load of bemused people would see this bloke who was in his 70s pushing a wheelbarrow full of fish. But it was relatively quick, just a few rolls of film.
So Robert Hutchinson asks, and this is a little bit of a controversial question, what do you think of the post-90s Oasis album covers?
The same as he does, probably, and the same as everybody else does. They're not as good as the ones that we did. And all Oasis fans, apart from some weirdos, no doubt, think the Microdot era artwork was better than whoever did whatever after us.
So that's really interesting, because the level of care and detail that went into something like Don't Look Back in Anger, then you compare that to the cover for Let There Be Love, where Noel literally just took out his keys and went, I'll just take a photo with my keys, bang, and that was it.
And funnily enough, that's the only one that we didn't do that I like, is the keys one. But I'm not being controversial. Everybody knows it and everybody thinks it. Like I said, apart from some weirdos.
Rock and roll. And so the last question, we've kind of covered this a little bit. Markerman asks, in his book, Tony McCarroll mentions that there were plenty of hangers-on and members of the Oasis entourage that ended up on record covers. But who is who? And was Tony McCarroll right there, or has he got his wires crossed a bit?
No, there's no hangers-on record covers. I mean, name me one. Who? I mean, other than the band, they were all families and friends of mine. Everybody's on those sleeves was handpicked for a specific reason, to illustrate the concept of the artwork. There's no add-ons or unnecessary bodies on any of them. Just
before we wrap up, where can everyone find you? Where's your website? Where can people find you on the socials? And most importantly, where can they buy your stuff?
The website is microdotboutique.com. Microdot Creative. You drop an E off the end on Twitter. It's Microdot Creative on Instagram, Microdot Creative on Facebook. We have the physical shop, but just at the time of recording, we're literally moving out. We're in Kendal in the Lake District, or near the Lake District, and the Microdot Boutique, as it was known, is now going to become the Microdot Megastore, because as of next week, we're moving into premises 10 times the size, still in the Kendal area, And it sort of doubles up as like a mini museum. It's not just stuff for sale. There's all sorts, like, you know, Liam's duffel coat that he wore and roll with it is hanging from the ceiling. We've got Noel's guitar cases, Bonehead's suit that he wore in the All Around the World video. But yeah, come and see us there. You'll love it.
So, Brian, mate, thank you so much for talking to me today. It's been revealing, it's been really interesting, and it's been an absolute privilege to talk to one of the heroes of the Oasis canon.
Thank you very much indeed, if you pardon the pun, the Oasis canon. You see what you did there?
Hey!
Yes, thank you very much. My pleasure. You know, thanks for your interest, and I send all my best wishes to all your viewers.